You mentioned the 42nd Street Development Corporation, and they kind of kept having these, I don't know what you call them, like stillborn plans. They had these plans, and they kind of didn't work fully. Would you agree with that? You're looking.
I think it's a much more complicated story.
It's a general statement. It's like not.
The plan, the first plan, was not the right plan for the street. The architecture was very far from the right plan for the street, the right image. It was more geared to destroying character than preserving character. Um, the second plan, and there were 47 lawsuits, so there was a lot of litigation that was holding back the project that had to be settled before you could move forward. Um, by the time that litigation is settled, you have a different real estate market. You have a different sense of what the street could be. The idea of urban entertainment was a new idea, and you had new firms that were willing to invest in businesses that focused on urban entertainment. City people were much more interested in coming back to the city to experience the city. None of that was true in the early 80s when the city, through the 42nd Street redevelopment project, put together the plan. So you couldn't have put together, in my mind, the plan that was put in place in the early 80s. There would have been no takers, except for the office piece, which was even difficult then. So you have to sort of understand and the dynamic of what it takes to build a city, to rebuild a district, which is where I started with this.
Right. Do you think that it was the pornography, for example? Was it? It wasn't really gone. It was kind of a little bit pushed outwards. If you look around,
you don't eradicate something for which there is a strong demand. The pornography went, and the sex trade went to Lincoln Center, not Lincoln Center, to around the Lincoln Tunnel area. It went around Chelsea, it went to Greenwich Village, and most importantly, it went into people's bedrooms through the internet. Because the whole technology of adult entertainment changed. Certain transactions you still have to consummate in public. I mean, not in public, you have to consummate in person.
Right.
But there's a lot that's changed that. But it did move other places. I don't think the city was naive in believing that it was going to eradicate it from the face of New York City.
Right.
It just didn't want it in the crossroads of the world, quote unquote.
Right. I know also a lot of the criticism of the redevelopment was that it did lose its personality, and now it's commercial and boring, and it's Disney. I mean,
that's an easy, cheap characterization. Because why is it Disney? Why is it Disney?
There's a lot of Disney.
Why is it Disney? What's the argument that it's Disney? Disney's got one theater there. Is it because it's middle class? Is it because there's a children's theater? Is it because it's not full of crime and prostitution? I think the character of New York will make the street what it will become. It is really far from Disneyland. You want to see Disneyland, go to Anaheim, go to Epcot, go to any of the Disney centers. It is not really that pristine and pure. It's still gritty, but it is not a street of prostitution and sex trade. And it's very easy, I think, when that's all gone, to romanticize it. And that's, I think, a lot. There are special interests in the city which bemoan its loss because for them it was home. But that was a very small set of people compared to the people who use it today.
Well, a lot of people just call it Disney because there's Toys R Us there, and there's
Toys R Us is not on 42nd Street. Toys R Us is somewhere on is further up on 46th.
Really?
47th.
Yeah.
So are we calling it? People call it Disney because they like to criticize.
Exactly.
But I'd like somebody to define what Disneyfication is. Mostly Disneyfication is something that says it's family friendly, it's clean, It's sanitized. Disney wanted to put gates on both sides of the street. It really wanted to make it Disneyland and control the whole street. It obviously failed in that silly initiative, but it would be hard, as somebody who asks, isn't it Disneyland? Ask them to define Disneyland, what they mean. I think what they mean is it's not exciting for them, but it's still exciting for millions and millions of tourists and a lot of locals who use it.
I guess that's true.
I find that to be a very easy criticism that's hollow.
Right. Well, so maybe it's something about before it was a center for a lot of what you maybe call misfits or people that didn't really fit in anywhere else, and it's a comfort, and it's gone, and now they're shoved out
Well,
again.
I think that's a fair comment. It's part of the bigger thrust of is the city becoming too gentrified. But I think that you got to look and see who habits the area. And I would say that if you walk around the streets of the area, you don't see 100% of the people dressed to go to office work. Okay? It's still pretty diverse if you go down there. We don't see as many people probably sleeping on grates and stuff. I'm not sure that's bad.
No, probably not.
Okay. So I think you got to look at the evidence of, is it really a homogeneous area where you only see men in suits and women in suits going to work carrying briefcases?